Hi everyone, my name is Seema. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a video where I rank the characters of the Gossip Girl reboot based on how badly I want them to throw me through a wall. I've done a couple of other videos like this. I will link them in a playlist in the corner, but the gist of the video is this is not like a ranking of how much I like the characters, although like my personal feelings will factor in a little bit. It is literally just like how badly I want them to throw me through a wall, how capable I think they are of doing that. There are a lot of things that kind of factor into this, like physique, how I feel about the character. A lot of the times if I think like the character is cute, that'll factor in, although because this video involves a lot of teenagers, that will be like less of a factor. There's a whole lot of things going into it. I have a lot of disclaimers. I've listed them in other videos, so just like click into the playlist if you want to know more. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. For this video, I have 27 characters. I looked at the like Wikipedia page for the Gossip Girl reboot and I tried to like get as many of like the named characters as I could think of. If I missed any, I'm really sorry. The wiki for this show is like not super like up to date or complete yet, so it kind of was like a struggle. I had to go through like episode pages individually to find like lists of characters to like get everybody down. But I think I got like everybody relevant. If you think I missed somebody, just like drop them in the comments down below and I'll let you know where they would fall in my ranking if I were to put them in this video. Also, usually with these videos I try to like coordinate my outfit with the topic at hand in some way, so like this time around I kind of decided to go simple. I went with a headband because I know like in the original Gossip Girl like headbands are a big thing, not so much in this reboot. And then I tried to keep my makeup like pretty like not too colorful, pretty like classic as opposed to like bright or like fun or crazy or anything like that. And then I just like kept the shirt like pretty simple but like kind of classy. I don't know. I tried to make it work. Okay, cool. Let's just jump right in. Number 27 is RAFA. RAFA is, I don't remember what he teaches, but he's one of the teachers at the school. All of the teachers at the school like suck. Like there are no good teachers, which is like kind of problematic. I think all of them should like get fired. But RAFA's the worst because like the other teachers at least like think they're doing the right thing. RAFA's like straight up like a predator and like a bad person, and he like sleeps with his students, and I like despise him so much. So like no matter how much like physically I feel like maybe he might be able to do it, he might be up for the task, I just like despise him so much that I cannot rank him any higher because I wouldn't want him near me. I wouldn't want him to throw me at anything or through anything. It's like any redeeming qualities or like physical advantages that he has are canceled out by the fact that he's like literally a predator and I hate him so much. And like if he was a real person, I would like love to like fight him physically on the streets. So like yeah, number 27 is RAFA, hate him. Number 26 is Jordan, who is like another teacher at the school, and he's also like a weirdo and a creep. He walks past his students in a windowsill getting changed out of their clothes, and he takes a photo and then makes a comment and a joke about how it was weird of him and he should go to jail, but he still took the photo and then like presented it to his like colleague to like distribute through a social media platform. So it's like, just because you're self-aware of the fact that you're a creep does not make you any less of a creep. I still hate you. So you're 26, and again, any like physical capabilities canceled out because you suck. Any like physical cuteness you may have canceled out because you literally suck so badly. I hate you. Number 25 is MILO. MILO is like a literal child. He is very low because one, he's a child, so he doesn't really have like upper body strength. Two, he's like a creepy child. Like he has like this genius level intellect. I have a sense that like probably MILO is some kind of reference in the original show. Like he's Milo Sparks, and I guess he's like somebody's child who was relevant on the original show, but because I did not really watch more than like 1 or 2 episodes of the original Gossip Girl, whatever the reference is goes completely over my head. So all I have is like creepy child, physically can't do it, psychologically I would not want him to do it even if he like, I don't know, use his massive brain to like put together some kind of contraption that would allow him to like hurl me through a wall. I just like wouldn't want him to do it because he like freaks me out really badly. So that's why he's number 25. Number 24 is Headmistress BURTON. She's just one of those like miscellaneous like staff members who like exist in the school and I don't really have any strong feelings about. So because she's like not someone I actively hate, she's like higher than the people I actively hate or am uncomfortable by. But I also just like have no reason to put her higher than this, so she's just there. I literally have no feelings about her. She is as relevant to me in the show as the wallpaper is. Number 23 is Wendy, who's like the administrative lady, like the secretary. I kind of feel the same way about her. Like she's a little bit more of a personality. Like when I looked up who Wendy was, I was like, oh, I recognize your face, but also you kind of get on my nerves. So she's not much higher. I just don't think she's very relevant to the plot. She also kind of is nefarious and like scheming with the teachers to like ruin these children's lives. She uses her administrative like access and privileges for like nefarious purposes. I just like don't like her. Again, I don't care if she physically could do it. I just like don't want her to do it. It's just she is not a predator and she's not boring as badly as everybody else below her is, which is why she's where she is. It's more like a race to the bottom at this point than it is like her own merits getting her number 23. Number 22 is Roger, so Aki's dad, who I believe is based off of like Rupert Murdoch or something. He's like a terrible person. I actively hate him. The only reason he's this high is because I feel like if he were to pick me up to like throw me through a wall, he would like have a heart attack or a stroke or his like back would give out. Like I feel like by asking him to do this task for me, if he were to say yes, he would hurt himself in the process and maybe die, and then I think the world would be a better place if he didn't exist. And I'm allowed to say that because he's a fictional character. I'm not wishing death on a real person, but in his fictional role in this universe, he seems to be a bad person, responsible for bad things, and also kind of homophobic, a dick to his son, a dick to his family, has like 7 wives, which leads me to believe he probably doesn't like treat women very well either. So just like, he doesn't really have redeeming qualities. He's just this high up because I feel like for the greater good, if I allowed him to do this, maybe something good would come out of it. Number 21 is Kiki. So Kiki is Audrey's mom. The thing with Kiki is she's kind of like pathetic, and this is not a diss. Like, I also like identify as like a pathetic adult woman, but like she just seems like she's struggling with a lot, and she's not very good at being a mom for her daughter because she's struggling with a lot of things, and like I empathize with her and her struggles, which is why she's not lower, but I also just don't think she's in a headspace to be very there to do this for me in any sort of like capable or good way, which is why she's also not higher. It's just like literally like I like her more as a character and as a person than the rest of the people below her, which is why she gets her position. I just don't think she's in the headspace to be very good at it, which is why I also can't justify putting her higher. But I think as far as the parents go, she's one of the parents with like better intentions. Like, she's very, very bad at like being what Audrey needs, but she's trying, and so she gets like personality points that the people below her don't. The thing with this one is like I feel like a lot of these other ones I'm like ranking characters that have like superpowers or like buff physiques because they're like in action adventure shows, and the thing with this is because it's like such a mundane like everyday life, like they're just like people, like rich people, but they're still like people, like nobody has superpowers, nobody, like, they're just like, it's like normal humans. It's so much of it comes down to like personality attributes, because like physically like they all rank kind of similarly. Like, yeah, I think the adults are probably stronger than the children. The men generally, not necessarily always, but generally I think are probably more likely to be like stronger than the women. Like, there's kind of like generalizations I can make just based on like how like biologically like things work, but you know, it's kind of like we're really basing it off of personality a lot this time around, because they're all kind of like just like they're just some dudes and some girls, you know, like there's not a whole lot to go off here. Nobody has like superpowers, no one has like lightning beams, no one's like super jacked as hell, like no one's like I don't think we've really seen any like fitness buffs on the show, so it's kind of like, you know. Number 20 is Jody. So Jody's Aki's mom. We got like very little of her, but I love the actress who plays her. I think she's so cool. I think she's such a badass. She just gives me like this vibe of being like very powerful and in charge, and she seemed to be like a good mom. Like, she's like maybe seems a little bit like not super in tune with her son, but she seems to genuinely care about him, and because that actress like always gives me like an aura of like having power, I feel like if I asked her to and we like were on good terms and I was like, hi ma'am, I like love and respect you so much, I love your work, would you do me this honor and like hurl me like very strongly like into a wall or through a window or something? I think she would be down, you know, like I think she'd be down to clown. But at the end of the day, she's like, she just wasn't in the show long enough to have a more defining presence for me, so I can't put her higher, but I liked her, which is more than I can say for a lot of people below her on the list. Number 19 is Bianca, number 18 is Pippa. To be honest, they could be in either order. I still don't know which one's Bianca and which one's Pippa. Like, they literally are just like, they're kind of bitchy, so I feel like they would take pleasure in harming me, which is why I feel like they would put their backs into the throw, which is why they're higher up than a lot of people on this list. I feel like they would really want to do it and they really want to hurt me, so it would be a really solid throw. But they're just low because I literally cannot tell them apart, and they are like, at the end of the day, they're like teenage girls, so like I don't think they're like jacked enough to like, no matter how much like their spite would go into throwing me, I don't think their physiques would like allow them to do too much. So that's kind of where they are, and I literally don't know who's who, so like they're interchangeable. I will Google for this video to put the photos up, like who's Bianca and who's Pippa, but like they're interchangeable in terms of numbers on this list. I literally just do not know who is who. Number 17 is Helena. They said her name both ways on the show, so I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced, but it's Obi's mom, and again, she's a bitch. She doesn't seem to be like a very great mom. She seems to care about her son, but she just has like really terrible politics, I think. But the reason she's so high is because she has like a fun little, like, I think it's a German accent. She has a fun like European accent of sorts, and her actress again is like a very like imposing, like statuesque, like if she were to be cast in a fantasy series, she'd be like some sort of like high elf queen or like goddess or something. Like, she gives me those vibes, which is why she's so high up, is just because like she's like fucking cool. Like, she has like this aura of like she has the aura of like a very capable adult, and that's like the kind of aura that I would like to have. Again, I don't respect her politics and I don't think she's a very great person, but in terms of like ability to hurl me into a wall, just because of the way she presents herself, I feel like she could do it and she could do it really well. And also she's rich as fuck, so she could probably hire like henchmen to do it for me also. So it's like not only would she do it, but I think her like privileges would allow her to hire like really excellent people to also do that for me. And just like, yeah, I like think she's just like, she's literally the definition of a girl boss, and like in the most like positive and negative way possible. So that's kind of why she is where she is. Number 16 is Lola. So Lola is like Julien's dad's like girlfriend, like secret girlfriend. And the thing with her is I admire her hustle. Like I would also want like a rich dude to be my significant other, even if I was like his like secret or whatever, like I'd be fine with that. Girl boss is trying to make a career in the arts. She wants to be a singer, and I respect her hustle. She just seems very sweet. Again, physique wise, I don't know how good she'd be at this, but I like just, she was very sweet, and so I felt bad putting her lower than this. I think her throw would be kind of average, you know? Like I think we'd probably need a couple tries. I feel like the first couple she'd like be really worried about hurting me, and so she wouldn't really, it would be kind of like more of like a push, like a someone trying to get to like the front of a show, like the barricade of a concert, kind of like shove. She'd kind of do that until I'd be like, girl, like you literally have to pick me up and like throw me like a sack of potatoes. And then I think maybe if she put her back into it, she could do like something, but I just think it would be like kind of like middle of the pack, you know, which is also why on this listing she is middle of the pack. But I like her and I respect her hustle, and she seems very sweet. So I hope she's not like in like part 2 or something of this show, whenever it comes back. I hope she's not like a villain, because that would suck. If she's secretly like an evil stepmom figure, I'd be really pissed, because she comes off as very sweet so far. Also, yeah, the reason I'm doing this video now is because like I started watching the show and I thought I was gonna keep going, and then like after the 6th episode it was like, oh, we're done now, and we're gonna come back at some point, but we don't know when. And I was like, oh, okay, well, fuck me, I guess. So that's why I'm doing this, because I want to keep talking about this show, but there are no more episodes. So we're doing this now. Number 15 is Simon, who I believe was in the Halloween episode, and he's literally like up here by virtue of being kind of cute. And I think he was an adult. Like the thing is, I factor in cuteness if the person is played by someone who's an adult, and because the character was an adult, I want to make the assumption that the actor was an adult, but I can't be 100% on that. I'm gonna be really honest with you, because I didn't look it up. But he's, again, middle of the pack, because yes, he's cute, but he like pretended to be a student to like get dirt on like a minor. It was kind of weird. It was like ethically, like journalistically, like terrible, like bad journalistic ethics, like terrible optics, like not how you do journalism, not how you get a scoop or a story. Very weird to like pretend to be a minor to get information on another minor because you think she's like secretly running like a blog. Like it's just like, or an Instagram account. Like it was just like, I liked him at first, and then when the whole reveal happened, I was just like, oh, you're just like a weird dude. And he's not like a predator or like sketchy in the way that like Rafa or Jordan are, but it was just like weird choices. So like the cuteness got him as far as he did, but then like all the weirdness after canceled it out. He seems like strong enough, so like I guess it would be like an again, middle of the pack kind of throw, but you know, he's an interesting dude. I would like to know more about his motivations and like why he thought that was a good idea, or something that would like impress his editor or like get him far journalistically, you know? If you have to lie to your sources about who you are, you're not a good journalist. Number 14 is Kate. So Kate, I think, is the last teacher on this list, or no, I think there's another teacher on this list, but Kate is like the main teacher. Kate is like a weirdo also. She is the highest by far of all the teachers prior to her, just because like she hasn't actively like been a predator, but she's like distributed the weird photos her colleagues have gotten. She's complicit in a lot of their like weirdo predator actions. And then on her end, she like, the Gossip Girl thing was her idea. She runs the account. She's like essentially cyberbullying her students, but then like making everybody, like framing it as her doing like a public service and making them like better people. And like, it's all bullshit. Like, you're a fucking weirdo. I think if you have that much beef with your students, like just like leave the school, get a different job. Like it's just like something's wrong with her. Like go to therapy, work it out. Like you shouldn't be like, no matter how shitty your students are, like cyberbullying them is not the solution. Like I know the whole point of the show is it's about bad people, but it's like, girl, Kate, get it together. Like the way like she thinks she's like a great person who's helping these kids is like very weird. Or like she thinks she's moral because like, oh, I can see that ZOYA is a good person, so I'm gonna like not leak information that's shitty about her, but I'm gonna like leak the rest of this information because all these other kids are like little bastards. Like they're like teenagers. Calm down, like relax. It's just like extremely bizarre. Like literally she's only this high up because all the other teachers are worse and everyone under her is either bad or forgettable. And like she has potential. Like I feel like if she stopped being a weirdo, she actually like does have good advice to give like ZOYA. She does seem to care about her students. She's just like really terrible at showing it. She seems to care about her friends, but again, she's very terrible at showing it. She kind of has like, there's something about her that makes me feel like she has a lot of like feral energy and like anger, like very repressed inside of her. And so I feel like if I found a way to like unlock that, she would throw me so far, like across the football field. But like I feel like I would need the right like I would have to prod her the right way to unlock that. I just feel like there is something there like under the surface that would cause her to like Hulk out and throw me really far. But for now, that's not accessible, so it's not higher. I think if she was like, yeah, I think if something like really awful happened and she like snapped and like gone girled, then she would throw me really far. So she's kind of, again, middle of the pack. She's not breaking the top 10 because she's not quite there yet. Number 13 is Rima. She's another teacher. She's the best of the teachers. 1, because she was the first one to be like, hey, maybe this gossip girl thing we're doing is super fucked up. B, her name rhymes with my name, which I like. C, her friends got her fired and made her take the fall for like their gossip girl bullshit. So she like, just by virtue of like nice guys finish last, gets to be as high as she is, because I want her to like win out against the other teachers in some kind of way, because she seems to have like the most like moral like clarity and the most like backbone out of all of them. And like her friends were shitty to her, she doesn't have a job, she's really like losing in a lot of ways. So I wanted her to give her like this win, like at least you beat your fellow teachers in this like very nonsensical, irrelevant ranking that some random girl on the internet in a universe you don't exist in is doing. But yeah, she's like, I don't know, she's an adult woman. I think she could throw me like decently far. She seems cool. I'd want to be her friend. I think she would, I don't know, have interesting things to say at like dinner, you know, like we'd have like interesting dinner conversations is kind of my stance on her, to be honest with you. Okay, number 12 is Roy. So Roy is one of Max's dads. He is the dad who is cheating on the other dad. I don't know if is it cheating when you join a dating website and then talk to other people but nothing happens? Like I don't know what the line is. Gideon seemed upset, so like my assumption is that it's close enough to cheating to be cheating. I personally, if like my significant other did that, I would be like really pissed off, and I would also think they were cheating on me or like had the intent. If it was just like a, oh, we're just friends, I would tell them, I'd be like, hey, I'm joining this like dating website to talk to people, but it's totally platonic. It's just like an extreme weirdo behavior, and he fully admits it's because he's not attracted to Gideon anymore, which is like it's a coward move to like have all those feelings and then like instead of just like talking them out or like being honest about them, like joining a dating website and then like flirting with somebody you think is your son's teacher, and just like it's just like weirdo behavior. But it's just like his personal life is a mess, but he's not like, there are people way worse than him on this list, which is just kind of why it's why he's so close to breaking the top 10, is just because there's so many people that are worse than him on this list. Like it's one of those things where I feel like his wrongs can be like redeemed, like if he works at it. Like if he wants to make amends and he makes those amends with his husband and his son, then like great, like it's his personal life, it doesn't really have any bearing on me. Like I think it's possible for him to fix his shit, as opposed to a lot of other people on this list who I think are just like irredeemable like pieces of shit. But I think Roy can fix this shit, and that's important to me. And also just like looking at him, he's strong as fuck, you know. Like like as far as people on this list go, he looks stronger than most. I feel like, I don't know, like he lives a privileged life, so I don't know how much like heavy lifting he does, but I feel like if he had to do heavy lifting, for example, to like lift up a girl and toss her through a wall, he would be more capable than a lot of other people on this list. So that's why that's where he is. Ugh. Number 11 is OBIE. So we're finally getting to like the main cast of characters. OBIE is this low and he's not cracking the top 10 just because like of the 7 like main characters, OBIE sucks the most. Like I just like find him so bland, so boring. He's a teenager, so he can't even like, his personality loses, but then he also is like a teen, so I don't think he's that strong. So I don't think he could like throw me objectively like farther than like the adult men or the adult women, frankly, on this list. He just bores me. I think he's irritating. I think he makes Julien and Zoya both like worse people just like being around him. He's one of those guys that like is so caught up in the concept of his own white privilege and his own wealth that he just constantly is like feeling guilty about it and like patting himself on the back for being like woke but not actually like doing anything of substance. And it's just like, it's so irritating that these two like very like cool, responsible, smart like teenage girls are like constantly like fighting with each other and like ruining their own like sisterhood over him. Because I'm just like, what do you offer? Like what do you bring to the table? Like absolutely fuck all. Also, your name is Otto BERGMANN the fourth or something. Like shut up the fuck up. I hate that kid. I know he's a fictional teenager, but oh my god, he exhausts me. He exhausts me so much. He could probably throw me like a decent amount, but I don't want him to, because I just find him so irritating. If it was a situation where it was like, oh hi Seema, meet OBIE, he's going to throw you today, I'd be like, I don't want you to throw me. We're gonna sit down, I'm gonna fucking school you on some shit. He just gets on my nerves so much. I want Julien and Zoya to both drop him and then like just go be sisters somewhere else, like away from him. He's a fucking weirdo. You dump your girlfriend and then start dating her like half sister like the next day. Freak, weirdo, bizarre behavior. Hate him. So irritating, so irritating. It's the annoying part is he's so cool, like he thinks he's the nicest guy, the sweetest guy. Like it's that's something that gets me. There's like, there are people above him on this list who are worse people, but they like lean into the fact that they're shitty. They know they're shitty. They know they're not good people. OBIE thinks he's great, and that's what gets on my nerves. Number 10 is Zoya. So actually, I love Zoya. I think she's so sweet. I think she has a lot of potential. Her character is like really interesting to me, but she's also like the youngest of the cast. I think episode like what, like 4 or something is like her 15th birthday. So she's like the youngest character on the show. Her actress is pretty young. She's very small. She's very slate. I just like feel like physically she like could not throw me very far, like if at all. Like if at all she could throw me, I just don't think it would be very far. But I do love her. I just look at her and my brain goes daughter, or like younger sister, must protect. Like I have such a strong urge to protect ZOYA from like the OBIEs of the world and the shittiness of the world. But I just feel like in this particular ranking, her skills are not up to par, you know? I just don't think she'd be able to do it. But I love her. I think she's so sweet. I think her style is great. I love her. I love her style on the show because it's like such a, like everyone else dresses so like rich and like bougie, which is kind of the point where it's like she like doesn't come from money, so she has to like dress a lot more like thrifty, and like you can tell she wears like hand-me-downs and like repeated clothes, and so she's gotten from the thrift store, and she's like doesn't have a new outfit every day, and like when she does like dress up, it's usually a gift or something she's saved up a lot for it. So like you can kind of like, I don't know, it's like it's very easy to relate to her in a way that the other characters aren't relatable, which I really like, because I think by having a character that like the audience can kind of see themselves in, it makes like the extreme insanity of the other characters like heightened in a way, which is not the point of this video. But I want to say I love ZOYA. She just like, this is not a ranking where she's like designed to excel in, but I love her. She is my daughter. Number 9 is AUDREY. Like ZOYA, she just like, by virtue of like her physique, she's like very slight, she's very small, she's again a teenage girl. I don't think she would do very well. She's slightly above ZOYA because she's like a little older, she looks a little bit stronger. She's also kind of like a bitch in the sense that like she is very like, she seems very take charge, very like uptight, and I feel like that, would she be able to channel that into a little more strength than ZOYA would have? Like I feel like if she really committed to it, she could throw me really, not really far, but further than like ZOYA could. And I like, again, I think we would get along. I think either she would like really, she would either despise me or would be like immediately best friends. I don't know, it'd be one or the other, but I feel like there's like potential there, and so I feel like she could throw me a considerable distance considering she's a teenager. So that's why she's where she is on that list. Number 8 is JULIEN. JULIEN, again, I feel like it's part of her I think her personality lands her so high. She, no matter if she's like really feeling good about herself and headstrong, or if she's like floundering and like kind of like struggling, I feel like JULIEN always, like, even when she's faking it, has a really like an aura of like calm and control, and like is exuding like confidence. And by virtue of that like personality and that aura she puts out, I feel like she, somehow in my brain that translates into she'd be really good at throwing you like a sack of potatoes through a wall or a window or across a field into a snowbank, like a, I don't know, like punting you like a football. I don't know how sports work, but I just feel like somehow her confidence would translate into really good throwing ability. And also I feel like she would not want to like let down her like Instagram audience. And like, would that not be like an iconic Instagram moment? If like if someone you were following on Instagram was like, I'm gonna throw someone like a sack of potatoes, would you not tune in? I feel like she would love to do it for the engagement, and then because she wouldn't want to embarrass herself because she's banking on the engagement, she would put like a lot of work into making sure it was like well executed. And then maybe because she's an influencer, it would start like a trend and everybody would be throwing their friends like potato sacks, and it would be really fun. It would be like a little challenge on social media. It would go viral. It'd be like awesome. Like, JULIEN, if you were a real person, call me, we can make this happen. Like, I have no possession, like I don't feel possessive over this concept of throwing people through walls. I think everybody should contemplate it. Even though my disclaimer that I didn't make at the beginning of this video, but I usually make at the beginning of these videos, is that you shouldn't throw your friends around like potatoes in real life. I think non-consensually throwing people through walls is bad. Consensually, it's like, if everyone's on board, it's cool, but I still don't recommend you should do it. You might hurt yourselves. That's a disclaimer I always put at the beginning of these videos, and then I forgot to do it for this one, and now I'm saying I should start an Instagram trend. So perhaps it is late, and I am not in my right mind. Don't throw people around like potatoes through walls or windows, but also, if anyone wants to start a viral trend, please credit me. Those things can be true at the same time. Number 7 is MONET. So MONET is like a bitch, and that's kind of why she's so high. Like, I think she would do literally anything to succeed, and again, I think there's potential here for this to go viral, and because there's potential there for it to go viral, I feel like MONET would be down to do it, and she would put her whole back into it. And again, because she just radiates like confident bitch aura, I think she'd be good at it. Like, somehow that aura would translate into like, even though she again is a teenage girl, I think it would somehow give her like Hulk strength, and she'd like throw me across a football field, or like through a wall, through a window, through a wall and a window, like maybe like multiple walls. Like if I was like in one room, she'd throw me through like 7 rooms and then outside, because like they're all rich people who live in giant houses, right? So I feel like she'd be really good at it. And she's just a bitch. I love her outfits. Monet is just cool, you know? She's really cool. Which leads me to my next person, which is Luna. Luna is number 6. Luna is so cool. Again, Luna is like, I said this in my other video about this show. Luna is so tall and statuesque, and she just gives me like Greek goddess vibes. Like, I just feel like she, like, yes, she's also like allegedly a teenage girl, but I actually think she's like secretly like the goddess Aphrodite or something. Like, she just like radiates like, I am a bitch, I am prone to tempers. I am prone to like outbursts in the way that like Greek mythological figures are. But also I am so statuesque. I am so powerful. And I'm like down to clown, because you know how Greek goddesses are always like down to clown, like because they have to hang around with Greek gods who are also down to clown. I just feel like Luna is a bitch, but she's a loyal bitch, which is something Monet doesn't have. And I feel like if I was on her good side, because she's a loyal bitch, and I was like, hey, Luna, bestie, can we like do this thing for the gram? You pick me up in your like statuesque arms and your like beautiful ass torso, and you just like haul me over your shoulder, and then you like throw me really hard. Can we do that? Is that like cool? And then because she's like my bestie and we're like really good friends, she'd be like, totally girl. And then she would do it and it would be fun. And I think we'd all have a good time. So that's how I feel about Luna. Number 5 is Davis. So Davis is Julien's dad. And the thing with Davis, okay, so now we're getting into like the adult men portion of this video, which is great because now I can like actually like thirst about people. And the thing with Davis is like he's again like a very pathetic looking man, but he's like kind of pathetic in the way that I'm kind of like, huh, like he's pathetic in the enticing way. Does that make sense? Is something wrong with me? I feel like there are like many crossed wires in my brain where I look at like a man who looks like very pathetic and I'm like, oh, huh, what if I made you worse? And that's how I feel with Davis, you know, like he's like kind of a pathetic little man, but you can also say that like he used to be more pathetic and now he's kind of getting his life together. He's trying to be there for his daughter. He's getting a girlfriend. He's kind of hiding her on the down low, which is kind of shitty, but I would totally be okay with it, Davis. Like if I was your girlfriend, I would totally allow you to like be shitty to me as long as you like got me an apartment the way you're doing with like Lola and just like had a whole secret second life where nobody knew about me, but I like had a nice apartment in New York City. I'd be totally fine with that. Anyway, he's an adult man. And so I think he'd probably be pretty good at throwing me. He also is not like a predator or like shitty in the way that a lot of the other adult men who are below him on this list are. He's like, as far as I know, has not cheated on anybody. His like wife, who is Julien's mom, like left him for another man, which is kind of shitty. But I would never do that to him. So I think we would get along. Sorry to Lola, but I want to steal her man. And then become Julien's stepmom. And then get tossed around like a sack of potatoes through walls and windows and into like other solid objects. I just think it would be fun. Because he's like, this is unrelated to anything. I like keep meaning to watch Succession because everybody says it's really good, but that's the same reason I can't watch Succession is like, it's literally, there's a guy on Succession that I also think looks like really cute in the pathetic way, which is why I can't watch that show because I know he's actually like the main character or one of the main characters of that show. And like at least on Gossip Girl, like Davis is like a side character. He's not the main character. But like if a show like has a main character who's like a pathetic man, I'm like, oh. I'm whipped for this. Anyway, this is so off topic. The point is, he's an adult man, so I think he's strong. He's not a predator, so that puts him like above people on this list. I think he can do it. And that's why he gets number 5. Number 4 is Nick. So Nick is Zoya's dad. Nick is the guy who Julien's mom left Davis for to go get with. So like, I feel like he has something that Davis doesn't. So by virtue of that, he's higher. He's also like really cute. And he's also a really good dad. Like he's like objective, like one of the like least like, cause so many people on the show, I'm like, oh, you're almost a good person. He's just straight up like a good person. He cares about his daughter. He cares, even like he cares about people like that don't like him. He cares about Davis. He cares about like so many people on the show. He's like a good person. He's so nice to Kate, even though Kate doesn't deserve it, even though Kate is a bad person. He just like gives off like really calm, really peaceful vibes. And he's just like a dilf, you know? Like he's very dilfy. Like Davis is also dilfy, but like Davis is like dilfy in like the pathetic way. Nick is like dilfy in like the, please, you are so, you're so like, you're doing so well. Like I know like people are trying to sabotage you by like making you like lose your house or whatever, but like you stay so calm and you fight for yourself and you fight for your daughter, and that's just like so attractive. And I'm just like, yeah. And he's just like, he like straight up like looks really strong. He looks strong, he looks buff. I feel like as far as like people on the show go, like I feel like is the most, like he looks like he'd be the greatest at throwing me, and I think he's also probably done the most like heavy lifting and like physical labor out of everybody on this show. So like I'm totally down. Like I feel like if my own biases didn't get in the way, just in terms of like sheer physique, he probably should be number 1. But again, I have biases and this is my ranking. So even though like it is a ranking of like who I would want to throw me through a wall, like personality does nudge some people above it, even though I think Nick would probably be the best at it. There are a couple people I want to throw me more. So that is why he's number 4. Number 3 is Aki. So Aki is the sweetest little peach. I love Aki so much. He is like what Obi thinks he is. Obi thinks he's such a good guy. Aki doesn't have to tell you all the time how good he is and how woke he is and how much he like knows about the world. He just like is like unabashedly a good boy, you know? He looks out for his friends, he cares about his friends, he goes above and beyond for his friends. He is clearly going through a lot of like personal stuff and identity issues and trying to figure out like who he is and like what he likes, but he's just like constantly trying to do his best for his girlfriend and for his friend. Like he's like trying to like save Max from like Rafa, this predator ass teacher, and he's just like such a like a good boy, and he makes me so happy. He's also like a skateboarder, so I feel like he must have some kind of muscle there. Like I know that the show doesn't really like exhibit it too much, but because he's a skateboarder, I feel like he has some muscles, right? So I feel like he wouldn't be too bad at throwing me around like sack of potatoes, but he's just so high up because like I just love him, and I feel like mean and cruel putting him any lower because he's just like such a good boy. He's so sweet, and he's just like looking at him, he like makes me, I'm just like, I want to protect you. Like I just look at him and I want to protect him so badly, but I also just feel like throwing someone who's like completely willing to be thrown around like a sack of potatoes would be such a good stress reliever for him. And I think it would take, again, it would take a little bit to get him really into it. Like he'd be like, oh no, I don't want to hurt you. Like, are you sure this is okay? But I feel like once I was like, hey, like you're going through something right now and you're having a bad time and people are not paying attention to you and they're not listening to you and you're going through all these struggles, but you have to like be the support for all these other people. How about you like get some of your own like angst and like your own like frustration and anger out by just like taking this random like willing stranger and just like yeeting her like through a wall. It just, you know? Is that not stress relief? Is that not like you could do meditation or whatever, or you could just like pick up a human and throw them. And I just feel like personally, like if I were going through something, I would think throwing someone around would be a lot more stress relieving and take a lot more off my shoulders than like sitting in a corner and like imagining like, I don't know what my limbs feel like or whatever the fuck mindfulness is. So that's Aki. Okay, we're almost done, I swear. Number 2 is Gideon. Gideon is Max's other dad. I love Gideon. I literally like saw him and I was like, oh my god, I love you. You are my favorite parent. I feel like I would like, oh, I just want to know more about Gideon. He just seems so interesting. I love the way he dresses. I love his hair. He's like the most like beautiful, voluminous, luscious hair. I want to like what is your hair routine? Like tell me. I would like to know so badly. The biggest thing with Gideon is he kind of reminds me of like a vampire. I think he kind of reminds me almost of like, you know the dating simulator game, like Dream Daddy? He reminds me of the vampire dad on that game a little bit. And I just like, I don't know, he just like gives, again, he radiates this like very powerful aura. Like I know this is not a supernatural show. I know this is like a show based in reality, but if they had like a twist in like season 3 or whatever of the show where they were like, oh, actually Gideon is like secretly a like 2,000-year-old like vampire, I would not be like, oh, I thought we were watching a show based in reality. Cause like looking at him, I'm like, no, I totally buy it. Like if you were like, he was there when the city of New York was founded and he's been there ever since, I'd be like, you know what, that tracks. He just like radiates power but also like safety and comfort, and like even when he's going through like the worst shit and his husband is like borderline cheating on him and being terrible, he's just like so loving with his son, and like he just like look at him and I'm like he gives me like happy feelings, and I just feel like because he does that for me, I would like to like return the favor and allow him to throw me around. And also because I secretly think he's a vampire, I think he would have the strength to like hurl me around like a sack of potatoes. Like I think he's a lot of like secret strength that like is not made apparent, but in my heart I know he's a vampire, and so I know he has super strength. But I feel like even if he doesn't, I just feel like he's an adult man. He looks really tall. Like I don't actually know how tall he's supposed to be, but he like radiates, he has like tall person energy, so I feel like because of that he probably has like a pretty strong physique. And so I feel like even if he doesn't necessarily do a lot of heavy lifting or a lot of like physical labor, I think if he really wanted to, he'd be really solid at throwing me. And also, again, I think it would be a good stress reliever because his husband's a piece of shit who's like talking to other men on like the Gossip Girl equivalent of Grindr. I just think he would be better off. Yeah, Gideon, can we please be besties? I am in love with you. I totally know it's not reciprocated. I'm not expecting anything back, but just like know this, I love you. I am willing to be your platonic like blood bag if that is like a situation that is like we can work out. It's just like, if you are a vampire, like just like your secret is safe with me. I would not leak it to anybody, not Gossip Girl, not no one. Just like call me, you know? Like call me, we'll talk about it. And finally, we are almost done. We are at number 1. If it wasn't apparent by the fact that he hasn't been on this list yet, number 1 is Max. Max is the reason I started watching the show because I love Thomas Doherty, and I can say this even though the character is a teenager, the actor is the same age as me, so I can say it. He's fucking cute, okay? Like Thomas Doherty is really cute. Max is really cute. The actor is 20, I believe 25. Yeah, I believe 25, and I'm 26, so like it's not weird. He's just a cute man. Also, Max just as a character I find so interesting because he's so awful and terrible and self-destructive and like home-wrecking his friends' relationships and just being like a little shit all the time. But then he's also like clearly like, struggling with so much. Like his parents' marriage is falling apart, not because of him, but he certainly like accelerated it through his actions. And again, he's like being preyed on by a teacher that he like admittedly he pursued, but that teacher like then turned it around on him and also like clearly has a history of like doing this to students. So it's like he's going through a lot, and like he's also like being a shithead and being terrible to his friends, and he's clearly like, dealing with a lot of stuff. But he also is like my weakness in characters, which is like white men who are like borderline disasters and like have some kind of like addiction issues. For some reason, like that is the character archetype that like gets me really bad for some reason. I don't know why. Like again, wires are crossed in my brain, and I see like a white man in the throes of an addiction and having like a severely bad time, and also treating the people around him like shit, but then also having like a little crumb of like actually being a good person and actually caring and like, you know, like having real feelings. And I'm like, oh, I see. That one's for me. And so that is like, that has the max impact. I literally like, there's no good reason for him to be number one, but it would also literally just be lying to you, the audience, if I put him anywhere else. There is no character on the show that I would like to like throw me more than Max. I would cherish the very brief moment that I was in his arms before he hurled me. I also think because he's kind of an asshole, he would totally be down. Like he would not have to be coaxed into it. He would not hold back. He'd be like, oh, this is fun. Like I might hurt you in the process and I will not care about it. And like, I'm okay with that. Like fully, like I don't care, buddy. If it makes you feel better, do the damn thing. Like hurl me through a wall. Maybe I'll get a concussion. Maybe I'll break a limb. That's okay. Like I'm totally down. These are like calculated risks that I'm willing to take for the sake of like, again, briefly being in your arms, maybe doing some stress relief. Because again, he's also like, Max is a shithead who does bad things and treats his friends like shit and like makes bad choices. But he's also going through a lot, okay? And like in the realm of my brain where I'm like, sometimes men are poor little meow meows. I am okay with that. I'm like, I look at him and I'm like, you are the worst and I love you so much. And therefore I want you to hurl me through a wall. That's it, that's the video. I am so sorry. This was a little bit unhinged. I'm so sorry. If I left any characters out, please put them in the comments below and I'll tell you where they fall in this listing. If you wanted to have a character on the Gossip Girl reboot, or even the original Gossip Girl, throw you through a wall, who would it be? Let me know. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and your justifications. If this video didn't scare you off, please subscribe to this channel. I post new videos every Wednesday. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to follow me on other social media platforms, you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. And with all that being said, I will see you guys all next week.